Welcome to the AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, my guest is Jim Roche from WarrCloud. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Well, thanks for coming into town. Have you been in Akron lately?
Not lately, no. I mean, I've trooped all over Ohio. I've been working in the automotive industry with dealers for over 30 years and have done a lot of business in Ohio, but not here specifically, so it's great to be back.
Cool. Well, let's talk about that a little more. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your career path that led you to where you are today with WarrCloud.
Sure. As I said, I started working with car dealers about 33 years ago, mostly focused on the service department and the intersection of automotive and technology. And I started off installing computers back in the days when it was pre-internet, even pre-PC, and have just sort of steadily evolved from there.
Cool. Well, let's talk about what you're seeing today. I mean, we were joking about it earlier. It's like every day you read something or hear something, it's like, wow. What kind of trends are you seeing right now, in new and used sales in the F&I office? And why do you think that it's so important for dealers to focus on service right now?
Yeah, there's more change happening now in the automotive industry, particularly with franchise retail, than I think there has been in the last 100 years. Mm-hmm. So in new vehicles, what's interesting is we're seeing a return to what we would all think of as the normal, right? In the last year, we've added about 2 million more vehicles into inventory, which is about a 73% increase in new vehicle inventory. So the laws of supply and demand are, reasserting themselves. Mm-hmm. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to see obviously more new vehicle sales. But what also is going to happen is we're going to get back to that problem we have with margin compression. We didn't have enough vehicles, so consumers were willing to pay whatever they needed to get them. And I think those days are going to go away. And we're already seeing that impacting used vehicle sales. From January to June, we've seen a 9.1 decrease in the average sales price of a used vehicle. And I think as we move throughout the year, that's going to continue. F&I, we're in a rising interest rate environment. Is it going to be recessionary? Is it not going to be recessionary? We sort of keep bumping along. But we've got all of these new regulations that the FTC is imposing about restricting the environment around F&I. And if I remember right, the FTC had put out an estimate that said these new regulations are going to cost dealers about $10 billion in profitability. Yeah, I know, through 2030. So you look at that and you say, all right, well, new vehicles, margin compression, used vehicles, profit margin falling, F&I getting constricted by the regulatory environment. And that leads us back to where we always seem to come back to, which is dealers got to lean more and more on the service department to bolster profit. And that there's an interesting aspect of this in that, I say this with a big smile, but we've just come off of the 2 most profitable years in dealer history. But what's happening now is the dealer opens the front door of the dealership, walks out, looks up and says, hey, it's not raining money anymore.
Yeah.
But that's the new normal, that level of profitability. So dealers are going to look for new and innovative ways to enhance profitability. And I think a lot of that comes out of the service department.
Cool. I talked to a lot of different people around the industry, and it seems, the last 2 years were amazing, but it kind of left us unprepared for going back to the new normal, because a lot of the people that work for us now, they came into the business during that time.
Right.
And so they don't remember, having to call a customer 15 times and have to negotiate and have to, not sell a car for sticker or greater, right? Like, so there's this whole, a lot of dealerships are staffed with people who don't know how to sell cars.
Let's call it the Great Awakening in automotive retail, because that's exactly right. People are used to it being, let's not say easy, but it has been a lot of fun, and people have made a lot of money. But now there's going to be a belt tightening.
Yep. For the last 2 years, consumers were chasing cars, and now car salespeople have to chase consumers. So it's really a reversal of roles.
And that goes back to what I spoke of in terms of what's going to happen in new vehicles. Think about that. It's not just salespeople chasing them, right? But when was the last time you saw a commercial where they talked about incentives, right? 0%, $2,000 down. All of that's going to come back because we're going to see more cars on the lots, and the iron has to be moved. So we're going to see all of these things happening as we move into a more aggressive sales and marketing period for new vehicles, and that all comes at the expense of profit margin. So that's what I mean when we're going to see that margin compression reasserting itself.
Over the weekend, I was driving to Cincinnati, and I heard a radio commercial, and it like stopped me. It was $10,000 off Dodge Ram pickups. We've got 150 in stock, and I thought, holy moly, I haven't heard this commercial
in about 3 years.
Yeah, I heard, and that dealer had done that commercial in the past, but it was like, it was back.
Everybody is dusting off the old sales and marketing techniques.
Yeah.
But it will be, we're back to a new normal. Dealers are going to look for ways to become more expense efficient, for sure.
Well, let's shift gears from the front of the business to the back of the business. In the service department, what are the sources of revenue and income?
Well, in service, there's two primary sources of revenue. You have CP, or customer pay, and warranty. Customer pay is, as the name implies, you, the vehicle owner, pay for whatever it was. Warranty, I think we're all familiar. When you buy a new vehicle, you have some period of time where the manufacturer covers anything that breaks other than a wearable. A wearable would be a wiper or a tire or a brake. But anything that breaks, you take it to the dealer for 3, 4, 5 years, depending upon which brand you own, and the manufacturer fixes it at their expense. You just drop it off, pick it up, and it's done, which is great. But we're going to see, I think, more and more of that. I mean, warranty is going to rise, I think, significantly. There's two reasons. One is sort of the obvious one. When you sell a new vehicle, and when you sell more new vehicles, there are more warranty-covered vehicles on the road, so warranty revenue for the dealer goes up just by the fact that there's more cars out there. The second one is really interesting and is counterintuitive. Electric vehicles on average have about 50% fewer moving parts. But a study by J.D. Power's division called We Predict, they've been tracking the warranty expenses of electric vehicles, and they run on average about 300% higher in year one than an internal combustion engine.
Wow.
I know. Well, the initial reaction is, wow, that was mine too. But when you dig into that a little bit, what you realize is that all these electric vehicles are essentially new vehicle platforms coming to market. And whenever a new vehicle platform comes to market, there are always initial quality challenges. So, okay, that's not unusual. The other thing that's driving it is the cost of parts. Technology is very expensive, and so we think those two are the things that are driving that up. Nonetheless, about 150 new electric vehicle models are coming to market between now and 2026. So more and more electric vehicles, higher warranty costs means that we're just going to see warranty revenue creeping up and up and up. My company, WarrCloud, we predict that there'll be about a 20% increase in warranty revenue between now and 2026, which is great for the dealer.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about why it's hard to why they have an issue collecting their warranty money, because it seems, if you're looking from the outside, if you've got 100 people that walk in every day, why is it easier to collect from those 100 people than it is to collect from the person that you do the same amount of work for every single day? You would think you'd have that figured out, right? Like, why is that so hard?
It's a great question. Well, so customer pay, I just repaired your vehicle, Brian, and I've got your vehicle, and you've got the money. So if you want the vehicle, you have to pay me, right? And it's as simple as that. It happens at the dealership. It happens at the cashier window. And it's a very simple transaction. You already know this, right? You know that I have to pay you in order to get my vehicle back. Mm-hmm. Warranty is a completely different animal when it comes to getting paid. It's analogous, I tell my my non-automotive friends, to how the healthcare claims processing used to work. If you think about what happens there, you as a consumer, you would get injured. You would go to a hospital. Nurses and doctors would repair you. And then they would take all of that paperwork and they would dump it on a third party who never laid eyes on you, didn't deliver the care to you, but it was the third party's job to pull all that together and submit it in such a way to the insurance company that the hospital would get paid. It is exactly the same today in dealers, right? The vehicle comes in, service advisor writes it up, the technician performs the work, all of that information is delivered to a third party, and it's their job to translate that into phrases and codes and other things that they then submit to the automotive OEMs to do it correctly so that they get paid. That process today consumes about 12% of the gross profit from the warranty revenue, which is a huge bite out of revenue. You know?
Are you talking about just the actual labor costs?
Yes.
Labor costs to go through and figure it out and submit
Yes. The cost of the person, their benefits, whatever else they get to equip them, that consumes 12% of the warranty revenue, it's a whopping big bite.
It is a bite.
Especially if you can compare it to other claims processing industries. The fundamental difference is all of those guys, particularly healthcare, they've automated it. They figured out how computers can do it all. So the cost of claims processing is minute. In the automotive industry, we haven't figured that out. So we're doing it with human beings who are very expensive and unreliable. The average time to process a claim today, a warranty claim, is 11 minutes. So you start to add that up and you can see how that takes such a significant bite out of claims processing.
Well, it doesn't sound like a really fun job either. I mean, every business in America is struggling to get people. How do you get somebody who's like in high school or college excited about you're gonna go through and find the numbers that correlate to the work that was done by a technician and submit that for warranty?
So that's a really interesting point. Well, first, so WarrCloud, my company, and what we do, we automate claims processing. We've been tracking the number of human beings that are working at dealerships that do this, and they are on the decline. And the decline is accelerating. What we see is them either they retire, they leave the workforce altogether, or they leave automotive, but they're not being backfilled by the younger generations. And I mean, this is a pretty high wage job. So I was scratching my head wondering why is that happening? I asked my daughter, who is 26, and she said, yeah, duh, Dad, nobody my generation wants to sit at a green screen and push warranty around.
Yeah.
So to your point, it is, and regrettably, automotive retail is typically not a first choice when it comes to career destination. So we have that problem with people wanting to come into automotive generally, and specifically that particular task. So if you think about that, those two data points I just put out, the demand for warranty processing over the next couple of years is increasing at exactly the same time the human beings that have done it are on the decline. There is a significant scalability problem there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, beyond the human being factor in it, what other benefits can technology offer to warranty processing?
Yeah, well, the thing is warranty processing is essentially the memorization of hundreds, if not thousands, of codes that are constantly getting updated and changed. And those codes determine how much the dealer gets paid. And there's a lot of intricacy to it. I mean, you can say, well, we've got to change the alternator. Okay, but you also have to do a whole bunch of other things depending on the vehicle, the trim level, and the model. And each of those things, you can get more money. You can add 0.2 of an hour for this. There's a $50 administration fee for that. Human beings tend to not be able to keep up with remembering those codes and apply them consistently. So what happens is that you see this, this prone to error that humans bring to the table, that computers don't have the problem. You program the computer that for every time with this make, this model, with this particular accessories package, it applies all of the necessary codes, and so the dealer optimizes the warranty revenue. So in the case of my company, WarrCloud, last year for across all brands, dealers in the United States, we saw a 12.4% increase in revenue, warranty revenue for our customers, in addition to a 54% decline in the cost of claims processing. Plus, because it's a computer, you're getting 24-hour turnaround, which improves cash flow. So there's significant benefit in addition to just being able to replace the humans, because humans are typically, unreliable and expensive.
I hadn't thought about that. So if you've got a person, they could be the best human being at warranty processing in America, but if they have a heart attack, or if they have a baby, or when they go on vacation, like what's the normal amount of time that it takes from the time that the work is done until the warranty is submitted? Like the warranty, claim is submitted. What's normal in a human one versus a technology?
It varies across the board, but it's anywhere from 3 to 5 days. But the typical claim takes 11 minutes to process. But a lot of those are simple claims. The more complex claims, the engine replacements or the transmission overhauls, and those are the ones that tend to get pushed to the side because, well, here's 5 easy ones that I can do, and my boss doesn't get on me. This one sets to the side, but those are the higher dollar ones, significantly higher dollars. Tell you an interesting, the origin story of WarrCloud, because it kind of goes to what you just said. So I've been working with dealers for over 30 years, and I've written a couple of books on the subject. And for my first book, I sat back and I said, how many dealerships have I visited? And back of the napkin, I figured it was probably 2,000. And invariably, when you open a door in a dealership, eventually you find a little broom closet with stacks of paper going up to the ceiling. That's the warranty clerk's office. And it always struck me, these stacks of paper, because to me that signifies inefficiency. But I was talking to a very astute service leader friend of mine, and I mentioned the stacks of paper to him. And he said, and I quote, dummy, that's not a stack of paper, that's a stack of uncashed checks. And that was the aha moment. Okay. So to your point of, that's typically how a service leader or a general manager, they open the door and they see that stack of uncashed checks and it drives them crazy.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody goes on vacation, gets sick, whatever happens, every day that stack of uncashed checks just gets higher and higher and higher. That's money that the dealer's not putting in their bank and they're not putting it to work. It's just sitting there idle. It depends on the brand, but in some cases, claims age out. If you don't submit them in time, the money's lost. So you got to write it off. So, there are many, many advantages to having technology involved in claims processing. And one of the areas why this was interesting to me was that it's one of the few areas of automotive retail that's untouched by technology. You know better than I. You have most of the people are here in your studio talking about it.
Yeah.
Today, no one other than WarrCloud is automating warranty claims processing. So it's a very rare opportunity that you find something in business today that's untouched by technology. That's also pretty exciting.
It really makes you think. And with interest rates going up, floor plans costing more money, you have this huge stack of checks back here that you could be using, with interest rates higher, your cost of money and your cash flow is more important than ever.
Right.
And if you've got this huge stack of checks back there, not only could you be using that money or not paying interest somewhere else in your business, but if the technology does it the same way every time, you can plan for that. But you can't plan for somebody who could have a heart attack or somebody who gets COVID or gets the flu or quits.
Or quits, which is what we're seeing more and more, and then you can't find somebody. This goes back to kind of full circle of I think that dealers are just going to look for ways to become more and more expense efficient, more and more operationally efficient. And this is an area that has sort of been bumping along on its own. There wasn't a solution, so dealers just had to deal with it in whatever way they dealt with it. But now that technology is presenting itself, I think that dealers are going to see this as an area that they really need to modernize.
I don't want to make you talk too much about yourself, but I got to ask this question. Let's say I'm a dealer and my lady retires out of the blue because maybe her husband is sick or for whatever reason she quits. Are you able to come in and save me? So I don't have anybody to replace her. I don't have anybody to do that role. Can you flip a switch and come in and save me?
Yeah. Well, flip a switch is, I don't want to mislead the audience.
Yeah.
What we do, so WarrCloud is an outsource, right? We plug into your DMS, we extract the warranty repair orders, and then we process them, we submit them to the OEM, and then you get paid. So this is not a tool that somebody at the dealership uses. So there's no installation issues, there's no training issues, there's no you got to buy equipment issues. You call us, you sign an agreement, we set up the necessary permissions to your systems, and we get to work. today, because we're very fortunate. We came to market in 2021. And it kind of seems like it's one of those, it's not wood, but I'll knock on it anyway, right idea, right time situations. But we're about 23 days contract to cash, meaning from when you sign up with us, 23 days later, we will be live and we'll be processing your warranty.
Oh.
So that's not flipping a switch, but in today's world of installing technology, that's pretty quick.
That is pretty quick.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Jim, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Is there anything you'd like to share with our audience before we say goodbye?
Just what an exciting time to be in automotive. We would love to, if dealers, any of this resonates with dealers or service leaders, go to www.WarrCloud, that's Warranty Cloud, WarrCloud with 2 R's, and let us know how we can help. We're here. We're the pioneers of this new technology, and I think it's really going to be important in the coming years for the reasons you and I discussed.
Great. Well, thank you for coming.
Thanks. Great to see you.
You too. You too. And thank you for taking the time to join us for this AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, my guest has been Jim Roche with WarrCloud, Warranty Cloud. This episode is Over the Curb and Burning Gas. Hope to see you again soon.